So this is part 2 of my new super simplified garden box form, and today we're going to continue on with the building of the form and casting some panels. Alright, I've let the mineral oil soak in overnight and it's basically dry to the touch now, so we can reassemble this form. And look at our numbering system to remember which piece went where. And also, I didn't show it last night, but make sure you put lots of mineral oil on the wooden dowels. So you got that one is going like that, and this one goes over here like that. Okay. All right. So right back in the same holes that we had before. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is use some latex caulk to fill any large gaps that we have in any of the corners between the ends and the sides, or the sides and the ends and the base. And I'm going to use just some latex-based acrylic caulk for this. It takes about an hour to dry. And what I like about this particular product is that it's not overly strong. It's not too strong. It doesn't hold everything together so much that I can't get the forms apart again. And so we need a rag, a knife just to cut a piece off the end, like that. And we're just going to apply it here. I've got a bit of a gap here because the width of the board was slightly more than 9 1/4. So just lay a little bit of caulking in like that, and then just smooth it with my finger. That's all it's required. So I'll look around here to see if there's any other spots where I have a large gap. There's one here in this corner. I can fill that in as well too. This little section down in here could use a little bit. Again, you don't have to be too fussy with this. So that's the big gaps on this one. Well, maybe this one right here's got a little bit of a bigger gap. So I would think this is probably all that's required to hold in the concrete. One thing to consider is that we've got a small rounded edge on framing lumber, and where the side wall and the base meet, it's going to leave a bit of a sharp edge. So another option here is to caulk all the corners, and it only takes a few more minutes, so I think that's a pretty good option, and it scrapes right off with a paint scraper afterwards. So this is minimally what you would want to do, but I think I'm going to do caulking on all the inside edges. Like I say, it only takes a couple of minutes. And you don't have to be too overly fussy here. You're not caulking a bathtub or a kitchen counter. Okay. So to get ready to pour concrete, obviously we need 2 bags of ready mix, a shovel. In this case I'm going to use a mixing bin, or a wheelbarrow works fine. We're going to use a little level to level out our forms, and we're going to use some non-stick cooking spray, some safety equipment, gloves, and a mask. I'm going to need a hammer or a wooden mallet to tap the form, trowel, or you can make your own float kind of trowel from some leftover wood from the project. And we're going to add a little bit of a cement color to our mix as well. Totally optional. So here I have our forms sitting over a couple of sawhorses. You can put them over a couple of chairs if that works for you. I like sawhorses because then you can get under and to tap underneath the form to settle the concrete. Also, we want to level our forms in both directions. Here I've got it leveled in the long direction, as well as check to make sure that we've got it leveled this direction as well too. Now I've got some non-stick cooking spray, and I'll give them a good coat with that. I'll give these a bit of a turn. Work some of the oil. There we go. Got some red cement color. Ooh boy, that's red. That was only about an ounce. All right, I left these covered with plastic overnight. It was pretty warm yesterday. So it's been about 18 hours. Just want to free these up a little bit. They're sticking in the wood a little bit. That one's kind of stuck. See if this one will come out. Not quite coming out as freely as I hoped they would. Might have to go back to a different plan for the doweling here. It's coming out a lot rougher here than I had hoped. And they swelled a lot more than I kind of expected them to as well. Okay, well, I'll work on this a little bit and see if I can get them out. All right, so I was able to get the wooden dowels out, but I had to tap them out with this steel rod. What I found is the dowels swelled more than I expected, so they ended up being too tight, too difficult to remove. And I think a couple of them had swelled so much that they cracked the concrete. There's a crack here, there's a crack here, and there's a small crack here. So I would say that sometimes things just don't work out the way you expect them to. So the wooden dowels swelled. We're not going to use wooden dowels. I've got another option for these, but we'll see what the panels look like. We'll see if we can get them out of the forms. Now I'm not sure if I turn the panel over whether I can work it out without removing the sides. I haven't tried this before, so we'll give this a try and see if I can just gently pull the form straight up and off of it. I think it's cracked on the edges there from the swelling. So it'll be an option in the future to remove them without having to take them apart, but the wood swelled and cracked the concrete along the edge. Also, this concrete's only been in here for 18 hours, so it's not quite as strong as it should be, but I wanted to move ahead and see if I could even remove the wooden pins. And we'll try this other side. It'd be nice to be able to take these apart without having to, or get the concrete out without having to take them apart. So this one came out quite a bit cleaner. But I'm afraid it's got a couple hairline cracks here. It didn't do as bad as that one did, but not as good as I had hoped. So the wooden dowel swelled under the moisture of the wet concrete, and that swelling either cracked the concrete or the amount of force I had to use to remove the wooden dowel cracked the concrete. So we've got another option. Instead of using the wooden dowel, we can use a plastic pipe. This is 3/8 inch water pipe made by SharkBite, and it happens to be a 1/2 inch diameter on the outside. So that'll work perfectly for what we want to do. The only thing wrong with this type of pipe is it's a bit more flexible than the wooden doweling. So we're going to use these 12-inch framing spikes, slide them on the inside, and then it'll add some rigidity. And we're going to use these spikes later to pin the corners of the box together to make the garden box. So with this pipe, we just need to cut down to 8 inches. I've made a mark on my block here, so I can mark my 8-inch mark there, and then 1 inch in. So I'll use the miter saw. To cut that down. and a little bit of sandpaper to make sure there's no burrs on the edge. And I like having the option of having a small hole in the end in case I wanted to put a nail in there to twist it. So I use the 3/16 on my drill block, put a small hole in there so I can run a nail in case I need to twist it to remove it. All right, a couple more of these and we'll be ready to pour another batch of concrete. Non-stick cooking spray. Then we can slide in plastic pipe. And then one of the framing spikes. Like that. All right, ready for concrete. All right, it's been about 20 hours since I poured these, covered them with plastic overnight. Now we'll pull out the spikes out of this one. And I'll use my nail here to gently pry this pipe out of this side. And I'll do the same on the other end. All right. Now, just gently flip this over. And we'll see if we can free it from the form here. Might have to tap it a little bit here. It's a little bit snug, so I'm going to take one of the sidewalls off. See if that might help it a little bit. There we go. That's the first panel. Looks good. All right, we'll set this aside and try the other panel. Get our spikes out. This one I pushed in a little too far. All right, that worked good. Came out real clean. And this one even easier. So we'll see if this comes out like a cake coming out of a pan. That's what my wife says. Okay, might be a little bit too snug. Let's take this side off. Okay, let's try that. There we go. That came out very clean. All right, that's the next panel. Excellent. Worked out really nice. Marilyn's here cheering me on. Thanks, Marilyn. All right. And any of the sharp edges left from the round edge of the framing lumber, you can just use a brick and just go real gentle on the edge. It's kind of like sandpaper a little bit, just to take that sharp edge off while the concrete's still relatively soft. We'll just go real easy so we don't chip a piece off while it's still setting up and starting to cure. Okay, we'll cast a few more. All right, let's see how this one come out. All right, came out very clean. Concrete will cure to its maximum strength if kept wet for about 3 to 4 weeks after casting. Looks good. Good looking panel. Excellent. Okay. So a little shimmying. There we go. Also came out very clean. All right, that's a good looking panel. Excellent. Good. Looks great. Now to get the forms ready for the next pour, you just need to get the paint scraper or whatever you have. Scrape off any excess concrete that's on the surface, and then I just take a rag and give it a wipe. Wipes off any of the concrete dust that's left over. And if the forms are getting pretty dry to the touch, then I'll put another coat of mineral oil on them. Or if I'm going to store the forms for a period of time, I will put a coat of mineral oil on at that time as well. So it always just takes a few minutes. And also checking the latex caulking. If I've got some cracks there, I might replace a little bit of that as well. Okay, that's it. We're ready to go again. I level a spot in the garden to assemble 4 of these panels into a box. I use a level and square to position the panels, then drive in some 12-inch galvanized framing spikes to hold the corners together. With these no frills panels, I've traded off some strength reinforcements for the sake of simplicity. In my previous 3 versions, I've added a wire mesh during the casting process to give the panels greater resistance to a sideways load, in what may occur in the winter freeze of the garden bed. I have a 3-part series showing the results of strength testing various panels that you might find interesting. You can add some reinforcements to these new panels if you think you need them. It's hard to estimate the stress they may endure, so I'll leave that up to you. I also left out the wire wrap around the pipes where the panels connect that I've been advocating in the first 2 versions of the forms. You could also add that to these panels here as well if you like. Have a look at the other videos in this series to see how that's done. These 36-inch panels weigh around 50 pounds, and if weight is an issue for you, then I have some alternative lightweight concrete blends you might want to try. I particularly like the vermiculite blend from part 3 of this series, or the perlite blend from part 3.6. I haven't tried them in this new form yet, but I think they would be fine. As you saw, I wanted to use wood dowels to form the connection holes in the concrete, and that didn't go as well as I had hoped. I decided to leave that in this video as I believe there's some benefits to showing what doesn't work as well as what does. The plastic pipe worked great and slid out easily. Also, with this new design, it's a real time saver that the panels can be dropped out of the form without disassembly. I have a blog post on my website, manabouttools.com/form, that has step-by-step instructions, plans with a cut list and a materials list, a cost breakdown, and a full list of the tools I used here to make the forms and cast these panels. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe if you are new to my channel. I'd like to hear from you, so leave a comment with your thoughts. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.